my god. What was that? That looked like some kind of military helicopter or something. Hello. So today we're near the Wiltshire-Somerset border. We're going to a place called Stourhead House and Gardens. And this place is mostly actually renowned for its gardens. But I will be having a look at the house as well. And there's a lot to see in the gardens. So it should be pretty good, quite interesting. And I should be there shortly. This building on the right was one of the old lodge buildings to the estate, I believe. And if we turn right now, we should be heading towards it. But I think as we go towards the car park, we actually go through a place called Stourhead High Street. Okay, so the car park's on the left here. It's looking quite busy already. I think this is going to be a busy place actually. As you arrive, firstly you come to this kitchen garden, and it's actually on 3 levels by the looks of it. And this was built in the 18th century, I believe. And this should lead onto a stable yard, and I think that was 18th century as well. And I think this is called a dipping pond. So that you could come here and fill your buckets and stuff to water your plants and flowers and whatnot. Nice glass house here, still in use. It's the next level of the kitchen garden. And this is the final level of the kitchen garden. And the buildings in front of us should be the stable yard. Some more nice glass houses in use.
Oh, it just surprised me. Hello, little man. What's he doing?
Nice view from up here. Got one of the automatic grass cutters there. Down the bottom there you can see it's one of the original sort of lodge or gatehouses. Right, so into the stable yard. And this stable yard is listed at grade 2 apparently. And this actually looks like stalls where they used to keep the horses. And as you leave the stable yard and turn the corner, Stourhead House comes into view. And that's quite a nice looking house actually. So, in 1717, Henry Hoare I, who was the son of the wealthy banker Sir Richard Hoare, bought the estate here. The original manor house on the site was demolished and a new Palladian style house, designed by the celebrated architect Colin Campbell, was built between 1721 and 1725. Unfortunately, Henry died just before his new home was completed. However, his widow Jane continued to live on the estate until her death in 1741, when the couple's son, Henry Hoare II, inherited it. Henry Hoare II, also known as Henry the Magnificent, made a number of changes to the house, including rebuilding the west front to accommodate the saloon. He had a great passion for paintings and sculpture, and the collection he gathered included works by famous artists such as Poussin and Risbrock. In 1785, Richard Colt Hoare inherited Stourhead from his grandfather, Henry Hoare II. Colt Hoare made further alterations to the house, which included adding 2 wings to accommodate the picture gallery and the library. He also commissioned Thomas Chippendale the Younger to make furniture for the house. And this is the rear of the house. When Colt Hoare died in 1838, the estate was passed on to his half-brother, Sir Henry Hugh Hoare. During his 3 years at Stourhead, he added the portico to the front of the house, as had originally been intended by Colin Campbell over 100 years earlier. In 1902, the central part of the house was gutted by fire, but many of the heirlooms were saved, and as the house was fully insured, the house was rebuilt in a nearly identical style. Determined to keep the estate intact, the last Hoare family member to own the property, Sir Henry Hugh Arthur Hoare, gave the house and gardens to the National Trust in 1946, 1 year before his death. His son and sole heir had died of wounds received during World War I, and then the house was recorded as Grade 1 listed in 1966. Alright then, let's see if we can have a little look inside. This is the entrance hall, I suppose. This is Henry Hoare II, who was responsible for the gardens. I think this is the ante room next to the library.
You see here, they do high resolution photographs of the whole floor, boards and the rug, and then they print them on polyester. Wow. So the rugs, this one and that one, are actually and the boards are still there, because it's
This is the library.
yeah.
This is the lunette window in the library, and this was created by the famous glass artist Francis Edgington in 1803.
To protect.
It's not all protect those ones. They were made shaped square windows.
So this was actually in the grounds, this was in the, when he lights up the world at dawn.
This curved bench here, this was actually created especially for the Temple of Apollo in the gardens, which we'll see in a little while. You can see the detail on this for a garden seat. Staircase hall. A nice skylight at the top. Probably down to the servants' quarters down there. This is the saloon. This is known as the column room, due to the columns. Nice distressed mirror. This is the cabinet room I'm walking into now. And this is why it's called the cabinet room. So this is called the Pope's cabinet, and this was made in around 1535, and it features inlaid polished coloured stones to provide decoration.
Two different bits of work. Waiting for restoration. I know that feeling too.
This is the picture gallery. See how many pictures we can fit on 4 walls. and then back to the entrance hall. Okay then, let's go and see these world famous gardens. Alright then, before we get to the gardens proper, we've got this ice house here, which is placed not too far away from the house, conveniently. And apparently this was probably built during the 1800s. Let's have a look. Ooh. This is good, you can actually see the bottom in this one. So that's where you would have chucked your ice that you took out the lake in the winter. And apparently this was actually restored in 1983. And as you can see, it's made of brick with a turf topping for insulation. It's a little bit of a walk down towards the Valley Gardens, but it's not that far. Walking down this path, you get your first little view. There's a Palladian bridge at the bottom, and then the Temple of Apollo in the distance, up the wooded bank. It's looking good. Now if we continue up this path here, I believe eventually if we carry on climbing up the hill, it'll bring us to the family obelisk. So let's just go and have a look at that. So coming up from the main garden, you'll come across this, and this is the family obelisk, and this is grade 1 listed. And you can actually see the sun shining off that sun disk on the top of it there. And this was erected here in around 1839, actually on the site of a former obelisk. And if we spin around quickly, you might be able to see that the rear of the house is in the distance in the middle. So it was obviously put there to be seen from the house. And it has a bathstone shaft on a limestone base. And on the base here, you can see that it features a Hoare family memorial plaque. There's also another feature that's not in the main gardens, so we'll go and have a quick look at that as well. Okay, so I've just made a little detour out of the main gardens, and this next feature in this quiet valley here is called St Peter's Pump, and it's quite isolated and it's quite far away from the main gardens. So I've actually driven out and used a National Trust car park, which is a bit nearer, and I'm walking down from that car park. So we'll get a bit closer and have a look. Okay, so just down here, sitting in the valley, this is St Peter's Pump, and this is grade 1 listed. And this actually used to stand at the west end of Peter Street in Bristol, and this was constructed in 1474 when it was originally called St Edith's Well. It was removed from Bristol in 1766 and re-erected here in Stourhead Park in 1768. And I'm guessing that this has probably taken its name, St Peter's, from the church with the same name on the Stourhead estate. And apparently there used to be 6 springs around this site, and I think only one remains now. But apparently this was supposed to mark the beginning of the River Stour. So I think that's why they've put this building here, to sort of mark that area. Just have a little look around it. And then there's sort of a well there or something. All blocked up at the moment. I don't know if you can see, but it's sort of on the top, it's sort of an hexagonal shape with statues going around. And there is actually a date of 1768 on there as well. I'll take a couple of pictures closer up of the top. Alright then, so let's get back to the main gardens. Okay, so we're back on the path now, heading down towards the gardens. You can just about see the lake through the trees there. So we'll just carry on down. Alright, so we're just getting sort of to the quiet end of the main lake, and there's a couple of pools that go off to our right, but we're going to carry on around to the left, and that's where all the different garden buildings and follies and stuff will be. So we're getting down to the bottom now, where the lake is, and most of the features are around the side of the lake. So what I'll probably do, because a lot of features are sort of best viewed from the opposite side of the lake, as I go around I'll take a few photos, but then when I actually get to the features I'll go into detail when I actually reach them in a bit. For example, the Temple of Apollo's sort of on the wooded hill right opposite me. So I'll just take a zoomed in photo and you can see that from here, and then when we get closer I'll go into some detail and stuff. Just coming down here, the Palladium Bridge comes into view, so I'll get a picture of that as well. That's just through the middle of the trees there, at the other side of the lake. So I'll just pop a picture up.
Interesting, but not all the time.
Right, we're just coming up to the Grade 1 listed grotto here. And actually you'll find that most of these features here are Grade 1 listed because it's such an important garden. So this is the grotto. And these kinds of grotto were popular in Italian Renaissance gardens as places to retreat from the hot weather. And this stuff that you see on the roof, this is called tufa limestone, and they used to line a lot of their grottos with this stuff in country house gardens. And this was constructed in 1748 by William Privet of Chilmark. At the rear of this plunge pool here and cascade, that's a statue of Ariadne. And as you can see, the floor is laid with patterns of river pebbles. And as an interesting fact, the National Trust's corporate font is actually based on this inscription in this grotto. And opposite that plunge pool and statue, if you come out here, what a view out onto the lake. This place is gorgeous. And then there's another plunge pool and cascade at this end of the grotto. And this features a statue of a river god. This is actually the best grotto I've actually ever been to. Okay then, so leaving the grotto, make our way up these steps. And once you've got to the lake down here, the garden buildings and follies should come pretty much thick and fast. From this bench I've just sat down on, you can actually see a rustic boathouse on the left hand side, church in the distance that we will go to as well, and the Palladium Bridge just down and to the right from that. And as I say, I'll pop a picture up of that. Next of all, we'll come to this Gothic cottage here, which, you guessed it, grade 1 listed. And this was also known as Watch Cottage, and it was originally a rustic building, but it later had some Gothic elements added. It probably originally dates from the mid to late 18th century, and it was first shown on a local map of 1785. Let's have a little look inside. You can see it's got a thatched roof. A nice homely fireplace. And the Gothic seat and porch were added by Richard Coltor in 1806. As you can see from this window. Okay, so we move on further around the gorgeous lake, and I believe this is another lake that was hand dug, so this would have been a lot of work for a lot of people, probably locals. And there's our first decent view of the lake. And at the end up there, I think we can see the Temple of Flora, just in sort of the middle of the picture. So again, I'll take a picture from here, just a quick one. Wow. This next feature's big. That's the Pantheon up there, just on top of that hill. We're just heading round there now. So, this is the grade 1 listed Pantheon. Inspired by the Pantheon in Rome, Stourhead's Pantheon was built in around 1754 by Henry Flitcroft. And he was responsible as well, I think, for the main front at Wentworth Woodhouse that we saw not long ago. There's a view from the Pantheon of the Temple of Flora, the Palladium Bridge, and another thing called the Bristol Cross behind the bridge. I'll just get a quick picture of that. There are some niches with statues, on the exterior. I think this one's Bacchus with the grapes. Alright, let's have a look inside. I believe that statue at the end there is Hercules, and that was by Risbrook. Can't actually go in any further. Corinthian columns there in the portico. And as we've seen, this looks out onto the lake. Moving on around the corner, go over this little bridge. Quite a modern one, I think. Off this path you can see a cascade in the distance over there. And just off to the left, I think that was an old pump house. I'll just get a picture of the cascade. Just had to stop again by the lake as I go around. There's too many good views. That's the rustic boathouse over there, somewhere in the middle of the picture. You can just about see the old water wheel of the pump house down there with the cascade behind it. We're now approaching something called the Rock Arch, and this is grade 1 listed, and I believe this was built to carry the garden path over a road that's at the other side of it. Let's have a little look. And it's actually built in such a way as when you're going over it you can't actually see the road. I'm actually going to go back and see if I can see it. See if you just look over the wall here, You can see the road beneath it. I'm just going to pop back and see if I can actually see it from the bridge. Yeah. So you really have to look for it. So it's quite good really how they've built that. So now we're climbing this hill here in a sort of zigzag fashion, I believe. And I think we'll eventually come to the Temple of Apollo. And as we continue on this path, on the right here, this stone recess apparently is all that remains of a hermitage dating back to 1771. So as we get to the top, peeping through the trees, you can just see the Temple of Apollo there. So this is the Temple of Apollo, and obviously this is grade 1 listed, and this is one of the most prominent features in the garden. As you can see, it stands on a plateau cut into the side of the hill, overlooking the lake, as we can see here. Oh my god. What was that? That looked like some kind of military helicopter or something. I'm glad I captured that. The Temple of Apollo here was built in 1765 by the architect Henry Flitcroft in an attempt to outdo William Chambers' earlier Temple of the Sun at Kew. It consists of a central rotunda surrounded by Corinthian columns. The niches around the outside all used to contain various statues, but a lot of them were moved to the house in around 1904. There's still one there. It's quite the view from up here. This is easily one of the best gardens I've ever been to. Very easily. The roof was actually replaced in 2009 and a new interior ceiling was put in. But unfortunately the doors are locked, so can't go in. You may remember that Keira Knightley, as Elizabeth Bennet, stands at the Temple of Apollo in the rain when she's rejecting Mr. Darcy in the 2005 film of Pride and Prejudice. Okay then, let's move on. I'm actually making my way back down to the lower path now, and you can see the other side of the rock arch there that we passed by not long ago. Almost every corner you turn, you're sort of going, wow. There's another view of the Temple of Apollo. The Palladium Bridge comes a bit closer. I don't think we can actually go over it. I'll have a little walk down towards it. Yeah, so this is the Palladium Bridge, again, grade 1 listed. As you can see, it's not accessible. And built in 1762, this 5-arch stone bridge was inspired by the work of 16th century architect Palladio. In the 2005 version of Pride and Prejudice, Keira Knightley also runs over this bridge. Another fantastic view here of the bridge and the Pantheon beyond it. This place was just made for views. They've got gorgeous rhododendrons around the place. Alright then, so we're now at the Temple of Flora that we saw from the other side of the lake. And this is grade 1 listed again. And this is dedicated to the Roman goddess of flowers and spring. This was actually one of the first garden buildings erected by Henry Hoare II between 1744 and 1746. As you can see, it features a portico supported by 4 columns, and it overlooks the main lake. Again, it's closed, so we can't actually look inside. And in a second we should be getting to the rear of that boathouse that we saw from the other side of the lake as well. Oh yeah, here we go. Now, apparently the boathouse is only grade 2 listed, so I don't know what it did to deserve being one of the odd ones out. Let's see if we can get a bit closer. Oh no, we can't. We can't get closer. There's a metal bar. Well, I found a way sort of down to the side of it. And Sir Richard Coltor was responsible for the building of this boathouse. And that was in around 1794. Richard Coltor had inherited Stourhead from Henry Hoare II, and he had a large impact on planting around the gardens, apparently planting around 90,000 trees within the space of 13 years. And again, I'll get a picture up from the other side of the lake again to give you a better idea of what it looks like from the front. Okay then, coming back on myself slightly, we'll move to the next feature. Okay, so the last garden feature I'll be looking at is this, and this is called the Bristol Cross, and again this is grade 1 listed. This actually dates back all the way to the 15th century and was originally located in the city of Bristol, just like that St Peter's Well that we saw earlier. It was brought to Stourhead by Henry Hoare II, apparently using 6 wagons pulled by oxen, and erected here in 1768. It was apparently becoming a potential danger to the public during high winds when in Bristol, so it was given away by the Dean of Bristol to his friend Henry Hoare to use as a garden ornament. This medieval monument depicts old English kings and queens in intricate stonework, and it would have originally been gilded and coloured. So there's the cross on our right, and the last thing I'll be looking at is the church over there called St Peter's. Okay, so this is St Peter's Church, and some parts of this church date back to the 13th century. In the 18th and 19th centuries there was further building and renovation work carried out by the Hoare family. Nice seating area, I presume. The tower there looks like it's probably one of the oldest bits. Okay, let's go and have a look inside if we can. It's for the bell ringing. Steps up into the tower. Nice ceiling. The organ. When you first enter the church, you see this worn effigy of a woman on a stone table. This is thought to be Lady Stourhead, who died in 1403. And the Stourheads were lord of the manor here all that time ago, before the Hall family purchased the land hundreds of years later. You can't see it very well because I can't get round to the side, but in the north end of the church is a large altar tomb to the 5th Lord Stourhead and his wife, dating to 1536. I suppose that's their pet dogs there at the end. And then over this side, we've got the Hall family memorials. That one's to Hester Hall. More recent one here from 1981. And then we've got the older ones here. And these memorials are for the 2 Henry Haws that we've heard about today. This one here was Henry Haw the First. And this is for Henry Hoare II, who created the gardens. And that was the church, St Peter's. Okay, so that was Stourhead House and Gardens, and I would highly recommend this place, especially if you're into your gardens and follies and stuff like that. This has gone towards the top of my list of favourite gardens. So I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks a lot for watching again. I really appreciate it, and I shall see you next time.